Did the U.S. government just admit it has time travel and teleportation technology? A stunning statement from a top White House official has sparked serious debate online, and some believe it's the closest we've ever come to official confirmation of secret advanced tech. Let's break it down. Just a few days ago, Michael Kratsios, the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, gave a speech that's making headlines. He said, "Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space." Wait, what? Yes, a senior U.S. official said those exact words. No, this wasn't in a sci-fi movie. This was during a formal government speech. Kratsios talked about how America's progress in tech has slowed down in recent decades, especially compared to the huge leaps made in the 1950s through the 1970s. But then he said something wild. He said, "Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated."
A gap lies between our moment and the speed of transformation America experienced mid-century. Progress has slowed. Yes, large language models astonish us. Rockets still turn our eyes upwards, and satellites envelop the globe. But as we look forward to America's 250th birthday celebration next year, our progress today pales in comparison to the huge leaps of the 20th century. Consider the country of 50 years ago. As the nation approached its bicentennial, Americans looked forward to electricity that was too cheap to meter. By the end of 1972, 30 nuclear power plants were operational. 55 were under construction, and more than 80 were planned or ordered. That same year, Apollo 17 astronauts became the 11th and 12th men to walk on the moon. 5 years before, the X-15 rocket plane had set a speed record for a crewed aircraft of Mach 6.7. America was flying higher, faster, and further than ever before. Today, however, energy prices still burden producers and consumers alike, and the grid remains precarious. Over the past 30 years, only 3 commercial nuclear reactors have been built and 10 have closed. Despite spending almost twice as much on healthcare as peer nations, we have the lowest life expectancy. Apollo 17 steps on the lunar surface have proved mankind's last. The X-15's record still stands, and the Concorde was decommissioned more than 2 decades ago. Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Now, some people say he was just speaking metaphorically, but others aren't so sure. Even respected journalist Ross Coulthard, known for his UAP reporting, said, "I'd love to believe he's hinting at retrieved alien technology, but wiser heads are saying he was speaking metaphorically." But here's the thing. Statements like these aren't happening in a vacuum.
Okay, Megan. Well, I would love to think that Michael Kratsios, the White House Science and Technology Advisor, a former Undersecretary of Defense, a former Chief Technology Officer for the United States, I would love to be able to say with absolute bold assertion that he's talking there about retrieved alien technology and he's about to blow all in a big disclosure moment. But wiser heads are suggesting to me that one should view his comments metaphorically, that essentially he's firstly not a trained engineer or scientist. He's somebody who comes from a policy background. He is the former US Chief Technology Officer from 2019 to 2021. He's also briefly acted as the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering from 2020 to 2021. And he was also, intriguingly, Chief of Staff to Peter Thiel at Palantir. And he's had a huge role in AI. But a lot of people are emphasizing to me that his speech was essentially, and I think it was a great speech, his speech was talking about how weird it is that the US has really not made any significant technological advances equivalent to what we'd made up to that period in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in the same way in the past 50 years. And he talks, I think it's worth including some of his earlier comments, a gap lies between our moment and the speed of transformation America experienced mid-century. Progress has slowed. Yes, large language models astonish us, rockets still turn our eyes upwards, and satellites envelop the globe. But as we look forward to America's 250th birthday celebration next year, our progress today pales in comparison to the huge leaps of the 20th century. Consider the country of 50 years ago. And he's right. And you know, the interesting thing is people inside the legacy program, they tell me that this is why they're frustrated. They say that this is why they want the United States government to tell the truth about the advanced technology that it has, because they believe that there have been advances made. But if you look at even science and technology developments in aviation and space tech, we're still using space rockets that were essentially designed by the Nazis in the 1940s. I mean, really, we haven't come very far at all on the official public record. And so I guess I do think, in all likelihood, Michael Kratsios was speaking metaphorically. And even if he was alluding in some way to some secret program that he's been briefed into, he's obviously got the out. He can say, look, I was speaking metaphorically. I was speaking about, even when I'm talking about the ability to manipulate space and time, maybe he's talking about the extraordinary developments in hypersonics technology or quantum AI. I mean, there's any number of reasons that he could give to metaphorically explain what he was saying.
Remember when President Trump said this?
We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have.
He never explained what that weapon was. Now combine that with what Kratsios just said, and things start to get weird. Let's bring in another key voice, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Steven Kwast. In a speech from 2019, he said, "The technology is on the engineering benches today. It can deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour." He claims this technology is not experimental. It already exists, just being kept out of public view.
The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here. But I've had the benefit of 33 years of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour, to deliver Wi-Fi from space where you never need a cell tower to connect, to deliver energy from space where you never have to plug your phone in and it trickle charges and you can use that energy over time. It can be applied to cars, to houses. The technology of Edison and Tesla that we live with in our energy environment, our paradigm today, is expensive, it's dangerous, and it's wasteful. Plug it into the wall, but yet that's what we all do because we are used to paradigms. The power of space will change world power forever. And it doesn't have to be a big country to do it. It can be a small island country, let's say New Zealand. Because the technology, if optimized, can change world power, and there's nothing you can do if you don't have that power. The nature of power. You either have it and your values rule, or you do not have it and you must submit. We see that play out again and again in history, and it's playing out now.
And then there's the Navy's own UFO patent documents. They describe a space-time modification weapon. Let me say that again. A space-time modification weapon. This isn't science fiction. These patents are real and were filed by the U.S. Navy. They describe tech that bends the fabric of reality, literally changing space and time. But it gets even crazier. Investigative journalist Ashton Forbes has spent years analyzing leaked drone footage tied to the mysterious disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. He believes the plane was teleported using classified technology as it was encircled by glowing plasma orbs before vanishing into what looks like a wormhole. Here's Ashton responding to Kratsios' speech.
He's admitting that we allowed our technology to sort of purposefully stagnate, that we almost like slowed it down on purpose, yet we have the ability to manipulate time and space. So first of all, when you heard his comments, what did you think?
Yeah, and the first thing I thought was, okay, let me see the context. And when you get the context, it's actually even crazier in the context. He's saying that we intentionally made a choice to hamstring our technology. And he's talking specifically about transportation technology. And then he says, we are capable of so much more. And when he says that we have the ability to manipulate time and space, he's talking about gravity manipulation. That's what manipulation of time and space literally is. And then after that, he kind of speaks to other things that also would speak to things like what plasma might do to make things grow, as well as just, other applications for the same technology, potentially as well, like AI. He speaks to making things more productive, which in today's day and age would mean AI. He says something about the 1970s, which I don't think anybody really picked up on. But if you're somebody that has researched gravity research, in the 70s, the Mansfield Amendment was passed. And what this did was made it so that the military could not fund things that were not related to combat, direct military applications. And so gravity research got pushed to the defense contractors. So all of these references, like there's no way, if you're somebody, people gaslighting about, oh, he's talking about telephones and internet, these people are sitting at the little kids table, right? Well, there's two videos out there in perfect sync that show a plane literally disappearing out of space-time that is still missing 11 years later. So we got to just be real about it, as much as we don't want to believe it, whatever, but it seems undeniable to me.
Yeah, we're watching this. This is MH370 on the screen here, which of course disappears using. So would you say that maybe the same technologies that he's talking about is what allowed the United States government to disappear MH370?
Yeah, definitely. And what we're talking about here is technology that you can find a lot of videos of engineers talking about this. That zero-point energy technology is an echelon above anything that we have conventionally right now. So even nukes are completely obsolete in face of this level of technology. And you'll hear people talking about this all over the place. So you can imagine a lot of scenarios where with this type of technology, the United States government is uncontested in the world. And this explains why nobody has really actually tried to challenge us on the global stage for, almost an entire century at this point. And some people say, well, if these are out there, could other countries have figured it out? Yes, I think there's a shadow arms race. And I think this overlaps with the UFO community where they say that, this might be UFO tech or whatever. And then Russia and China are working on this. This is what scares me the most about this is that, if two warring factions get this level of technology, the science on display here that I want to go through with you today, it has the capability of producing not just a wormhole, but actually a black hole, like annihilation of the entire planet, maybe even the entire solar system. It's just a matter of scale. And what you realize from these videos and the science related to them is that physics, the universe is scale invariant. Stuff that you can do on the small level, small scale, you can also do on the large scale. Those orbs that you see there, they are mimicking atoms. It looks like an atom. It's a positively charged plasma center with electrons that you can see as green as a shell around it. You can even see the shell of the electrons move fluidly when they start to spin around the plane because of the magnetic field they're producing around the plane. It's just wild when you look at it and you can see all of that detail from that. So what I was hoping today is and I've seen you talk to Tucker Carlson, some people that are really prominent and connected. And I want to help because you're saying all the right stuff to get all the lingo and arm you with all the tools that you need to help explain to the general masses and to these people who are connected, like what's really going on here from the scientific perspective and from a suppression perspective and national security as well.
In the footage, the plane is encircled by 3 orbs. Suddenly, a flash. Then it disappears. Forbes says these orbs are made of something called coherent plasma. When they interact in the right way, they can literally bend space and create portals. He believes this tech is powered by something called negative energy, a concept that many physicists say is real but extremely misunderstood. The idea is based on what's called zero-point energy. It's the invisible ocean of energy that exists even in the vacuum of space. Forbes says when these plasma orbs interact, they create a negative energy state. That allows space and even time to be bent, warped, or completely folded. This is what lets teleportation and even time travel become possible. In this 7-minute clip, Ashton does an incredible job of illustrating how it works, and basically how MH370 was teleported to Diego Garcia Naval Base nearby in the Maldives. It's absolutely riveting. Have a look.
Negative energy. What is it, and how could it be used in all of these applications?
Exactly. So there's something called the vacuum catastrophe, which is that we look up in the sky and we measure the cosmic microwave background. We're measuring all the heat that we can see in the sky. And we say that that's all the energy that's out there in the universe. And it comes to this relatively small amount of energy. But then quantum mechanics came around. Wheeler and Feynman came into play. And Schwinger and Feynman won the Nobel Prize for quantum electrodynamics in 1965. John Archibald Wheeler and Richard Feynman said, when you do the math from the quantum perspective on the energy of the universe, it's over 120 orders of magnitude higher than when we measure the cosmic microwave background. Why this discrepancy? Which one is correct? Is there no zero-point energy out there to be tapped into? Or is there a huge ocean of energy that can be tapped into? The difference between this question is the difference between whether or not negative energy exists or not. If you don't think negative energy exists because it's an exotic substance, then you're somebody that believes that the cosmic microwave background is the answer, that there's no energy to be tapped into. But if you're somebody that understands quantum mechanics, you realize that we're not talking about thermal energy. We're not talking about heat. We're talking about vibrational energy. The zero-point energy, that ocean of energy, it's vibrating all the time on the tiniest possible scales. And that's how we interact with it. That's why Tesla was saying that there's an ether of energy and that the answer to the universe is energy, frequency, and vibration. So what these people need to understand then is, well, what's the thing that we missed? Zero's not the bottom. Zero-point energy is quite literally the energy that exists below zero. The energy below the ground state. So zero is not the bottom. That's not zero. It's just the ground state. It's just the equilibrium state. That's us on top of the ocean. We're on top of the ocean floating around. So what's negative energy? Oh, if we tap into that zero-point energy, we pull it out. And what are those orbs doing in that video? This is why it's proof. This is why the zap in the video is absolute proof. The orbs are inducing a negative energy state through a low energy phase transition. The ground state of, imagine just a hydrogen atom. The ground state of the hydrogen atom is shrinking a little bit because they're shrinking the space. Like you look at my screen right here. Let me see if I can make this work. They're shrinking the size of the space itself. And when you do this, everything comes together. Everything gets squished together. And when you do this, it changes the permittivity of the vacuum of that region of space-time, allows for negative energy to be possible because the ground state goes down for every atom that's there. And when that occurs, there's a release of energy. That release of energy is an ultraviolet light. This is why in the whammy video, the satellite video, you see a flash of light come. So we're like, oh, there's light. But when you look in the thermal, it's black. It's cold.
Oh, so no, that's a great point.
Ultraviolet light. Go ahead.
So let's show that. So the Yeah, this is the one where we see
That's
it actually
gravitational
go black.
lensing right there. Go ahead.
Gravitate. So what are we seeing here? So there it disappears.
So that was the
Boom.
frame right beforehand, and then the frame right after this wormhole opens up. By the way, there's only 4 frames of this wormhole, and you can actually see it open and close. You can even see the tail of the plane in the first frame right there. Now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing space-time being contracted. And when it gets contracted, the refractive index, the permittivity of the vacuum, changes. And when that happens, what you see is this effect where the ground state of your atom, of your hydrogen atom, your orbs, goes down. And what this does is it's like a trampoline, like jumping on a little trampoline. It pulls a little bit of energy out. And it doesn't even have to be that much energy, because those balls of plasma are 20 feet wide of condensed charge. They're extremely powerful magnets. So when you jam them together, the closer they get, that force goes up and it amplifies to a degree where then, boom, space-time itself breaks down. Space-time itself breaks down. And magnetic reconnection occurs when the orbs get too close, because these magnetic fields, these orbs, is so powerful. Now, the last thing I want to say on the orbs for you to understand, which is helpful, is that these are orbs of coherent plasma, meaning that what's happening is the magnetic and electric fields the plasma is producing is what's being used to make it into a sphere. You would say, wait, what? It's actually itself is making the fields that keep it trapped? Yes. So what they figured out is they move the plasma around the right way. The fields will cause the plasma to become an orb that stays coherent in the sky that can float around. And that's called magnetohydrodynamics, MHD. You'll see the acronym all over the place. They're using controlled, powerful magnetic fields to move the plasma around, keep the charge separated, the positive and the negative, so that it acts like a lightning bolt. And then somebody at some point figured out, oh, let's just jam a few of these together, and then boom, we can make things disappear. The last point I want to make is, well, you're saying it's teleportation. It could probably annihilate something as well. But for several reasons, including the phones ringing, the plane being seen later on, and all this weird dance the orbs are doing on the plane, I think it's actual teleportation. So what's happening is the orbs must have an equal number of charge between the 4 orbs. You've got 3 orbs around the plane, and you've got 1 orb somewhere else. So when this plane is being teleported, Delta, don't sue me, and then comes back, the orbs need to cancel out. So let's say you've got 2 of the orbs are positively charged and 2 are negatively charged. When they come together, they're going to equalize and they're going to dissipate. That could be one configuration. The other configuration could be that the 3 orbs next to the plane all add up to 1 negative charge. And then you have 1 positive charge, let's say at Diego Garcia or in the Maldives. And then when the orbs come together, it causes them to slingshot and come together, and then they appear at your new location. That's what these people have figured out. And it's crazy because it's so far beyond our current paradigm to think that not only could we have figured out gravity and have an actual working warp drive and wormhole technology, but to actually use it on an airplane that itself is not equipped. It's not like it's a Starship Enterprise. We used it on an airplane that was flying around in the sky. So this is like, you realize the implications of this right away, as I'm sure you've considered. You know, you could teleport a nuke onto somebody. This is technology that obsoletes all prior forms of weaponry.
If this is true, this would mean our world is way more advanced than we've been led to believe. It also means that everything we know about transportation, energy, even warfare could change overnight. Think about it. No need for planes or rockets. No more nuclear weapons, because this tech is even more powerful. And yes, the ability to teleport objects, people, and maybe even travel through time. So when Michael Kratsios said, our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space, was he really just being poetic? Or was that a soft disclosure, an admission hidden in plain sight? Interestingly, the Galactic Confederation of Light has spoken for years about these exact kinds of suppressed technologies. free energy devices, med beds that heal using sound, food replicators, teleportation portals. Could we be watching the early stages of full disclosure?
Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated.
Whether it's alien tech, human innovation, or something else entirely, the pieces are adding up. Time travel and teleportation may no longer belong to the realm of science fiction. They could be our hidden reality. The only question is, why now? Why are they starting to talk? And what comes next? So, could it be true what the Galactic Confederation said in a previous episode about 2025 being the year of ongoing revelations, which will culminate into an undeniable ET disclosure within the next year? They said it all depends on us and our consciousness. Only time will tell. If you found this video entertaining or enjoyable, please share it with someone who is open to these ideas. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think we already have time travel tech? Until next time, stay present, be joyful, and don't forget to look up.